Hi, I'm Chef Jennifer Basil, and thank you for joining me. We are focusing on Italian American classics this season, and today we're going to do two lighter dishes. We're going to do pasta primavera, and we're going to make another dessert, lemon ricotta cake. So we're gonna start with pasta primavera today. And I love this dish because of all the vegetables that you put in it. It, to me, seems like it's a very healthy dish for an Italian dish. There is some debate where this dish started from, just like all of our Italian American classics. Did it come from Italy? Did it come from America? This dish actually got its popularity in the late 1970s, early 1980s at Le Cirque in New York City. And who actually invented the recipe is where that debate comes through. But this is a wonderfully bright, beautiful pasta dish, and if you are health conscious, this is the perfect one for you. So let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to get our pasta cooked, because once we saute the vegetables, it's just a matter of tossing the pasta in. So we want to get that ready. I've got water boiling, lots of water, lots of salt, because otherwise this will taste just like gummy flour, so we don't want that. So it's all already salted. We'll toss that in. We're going to cook this to package directions. When you use a dry pasta, it's smart to follow the package directions because the producer of that product knows exactly how long that takes for it to be that perfect al dente. And because this is just getting tossed in with the vegetables, we're not really cooking it much longer. It's okay to cook this one right up to the time that it says on the package. So once that gets cooking, we're gonna start our vegetables. You can use whatever vegetables you like. I love all the colors that we've got here. We've got tomatoes and squash and zucchini, the red onion, which adds a purple, carrots to add some orange, just gorgeous colors on this plate, and it's really gonna make this primavera a bright dish. So, hot pan. You guys know I love my cast iron. Hot pan. Let's toss in our vegetables. The last thing I'm gonna put in is the tomatoes, because if we put them in too soon, they're gonna start to break down and get mushy, so last. So let's start with onions. Let's start with broccoli. Those are the two things that are gonna take the longest to cook, and maybe even the carrots. And I'm gonna throw some garlic. That'll add some of that nice seasoning to that. All right, asparagus next. Some zucchini, some squash, and our tomatoes. And you can get these sauteed while your pasta's cooking. We'll add some salt and pepper to that. Look at all those colors, it's so bright. So interesting thing about this dish, I mentioned that there's debate about where it came from. So the chef at Le Cirque and his wife are the ones who introduced this to New York and to America. And this was one of the most popular dishes in the 1980s. They actually went, or the story goes that they went and talked to a guy who lived in Nova Scotia, so now we're talking Canada. And they asked him for a simple Italian pasta dish. So that's kind of how this whole dish came about. But it's a lovely dish, and I think it translates now, and it's becoming more popular again because so many people are not eating meat anymore. So this is a great dish for vegetarians. If you got a eggless pasta, this could be vegan. The original recipe called for cream. I'm not using cream and I'm not using butter, so it really could be a vegetarian or a vegan dish if you prefer. So now that we've got this in, we're gonna take our cooked pasta. We'll toss that in. We'll season it with some Italian seasoning, some Parmesan cheese, and voila, we will have pasta primavera. I love all the colors in this dish, and what makes me the most excited is I don't feel like my fangs are gonna pop when I eat it. So I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil in it because we're about to toss the pasta in. Just drizzle that a little bit. Toss our pasta. I'm using a penne. This dish actually originated with spaghetti or linguine. but I just like the way that the penne pasta kind of stands up to the structure of the vegetables. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's put some Italian seasoning in this. So we've got some fresh herbs that we've chopped. You can certainly use dry seasoning if you want. If you did dry, I would probably put that in originally when you start to cook the vegetables. Since we're using fresh, we'll put it in at the end. That way they won't turn brown while we're cooking. And then to finish off this dish, let's toss in some Parmesan. Or in Italy, Parmigiano Reggiano. So, all right. We've got a gorgeous dish. Let's get it plated so we can eat healthy today. So we've got our bright, vibrant vegetable pasta, pasta primavera. You can absolutely eat this vegetarian. If you want to add protein, you could add chicken, you could add beef, you could add shrimp. I've got some grilled chicken. We grilled it with some Italian seasoning, so I'm gonna cut some of that because I like to have a little bit of protein added to my dish. Kind of makes me feel better about eating all those carbs. So we'll just slice that. And let's get our pasta on our plate. So certainly you can serve Italian dishes individually for a dinner party, or you can do family style. In a lot of places you'll see restaurants, you'll see them do Italian family style. Because the one thing about Italian food that I absolutely love is that it's all about family, and it's all about coming together, and it's all about sharing the memories around food. It's traditional in Italy, but it's also traditional here in America. So I love to do the family style. You do a big plate. Everyone can kind of help themselves to the portions they want. Look at all those colors, isn't that gorgeous? I'm gonna zhuzh it because you know I like making pretty plates. Let's put some fresh herbs. And these are all herbs that were used in our Italian seasoning mix. So we've got some thyme, some rosemary, some basil. I'm gonna put that chicken on top. Isn't that beautiful? And then let's put some fresh Parmesan that I'm gonna grate right on top of it. And we'll top it off with the best herb ever, little basil, little Jennifer basil. Just like that, isn't that beautiful? I'm excited to eat this and share it with you. Let's make a dessert. We're going to do a lemon ricotta cake. This is traditional in Italy. Most of the desserts that are here in America did come from Italy. So this is one of the more popular ones. It's zesty, it's bright, it's fluffy with the addition of ricotta. So let's get that started. And as you guys know, I'm not, the pastry chef, so bear with me and let's hope I don't get flour all over myself. We're always gonna start by combining our wet ingredients. So the first thing we want to do is cream our butter and sugar. And when they say to cream butter and sugar, what you're trying to do is create a light, fluffy texture. That's going to help the texture of the cake. So we've got our butter and our sugar. We'll start that. And I'm using a paddle hook on the mixer. Once that's light and fluffy, we're going to add in the ricotta. Now, here's an important step. You actually want to beat this for about 5 to 7 minutes because you really want that ricotta to get light and creamy and smooth. You don't want it to be chunky like you would think of. Some people substitute in baking savory dishes, they substitute cottage cheese for ricotta. We don't want it to be lumpy. We really want a smooth texture. So this we're gonna continue to beat for about 5 to 7 minutes till we have a really nice smooth texture. Okay, now we want to mix in 1 egg at a time, our vanilla, some lemon zest, and some lemon juice. Make sure that's incorporated, and then we can flavor it with our vanilla, lemon juice, because it wouldn't be lemon ricotta cake if we don't have the lemon. and lemon zest. This really brings out the lemon flavor. So we're gonna dump all that in there. And while that's combining, let's get our dry ingredients together. So we've got cake flour. Cake flour is more refined. It's a little bit lighter than an all-purpose flour. So you'll get a lighter, fluffier cake by using cake flour or pastry flour. We're gonna add in baking soda, about a teaspoon of salt. And I like to combine those together before adding it to the wet ingredients. That way the salt and the baking soda is well distributed throughout your dry mixture. Okay, here's the fun part because this is when it flies all over me. Let's mix our dry ingredients in. It's okay to stop and pause and scrape down the sides just to make sure that all your ingredients are coming together evenly. Sometimes the flour gets stuck on the top of the paddle, and sometimes you get a little bit stuck to the bottom of the mixer. So I like to scrape down the sides. We'll give it one more mix and get it in our pan to bake. In preparation to bake our cake, we're using a springform pan for this particular recipe instead of a cake pan. That way we can remove the sides easily. We don't have to worry about the cake sticking and, not coming out. So this is a trick I learned from another chef, but this is brilliant and I love it, and every time I bake I use this. If you have to grease a baking pan, use your wrapper from butter. So every time I use a stick of butter, I take the wrapper and I fold it and I keep it in my refrigerator. Take it out, it's already got butter on it. This way your hands don't get all greasy, and just use the paper to grease your cake pan. Perfect. All right, let's take our batter out, put it in our cake pan, and get it in the oven. Look at beautiful yellow color from the lemon. Gorgeous. This particular cake is usually served in a single layer. However, if you want to make it a layered cake, you certainly could do that. You would just want to double or triple the recipe. So let's get that spread out so it's evenly distributed across the pan. Do you guys like to lick cake batter? I know they say you shouldn't because of the raw eggs, but I can't resist. So good. Let's put this in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And we'll have lemon ricotta cake. So while our cake is in the oven baking, let's get our garnish ready to make it a beautiful presentation. I'm gonna make some homemade whipped cream just to show you how easy it is, so you don't have to go out and buy that processed stuff, that comes in a plastic container, or use whipped cream out of a can. We're just gonna take some heavy whipping cream. You can use granulated sugar or powdered sugar. I prefer powdered sugar. And to be honest with you, I really don't measure. I just kind of eyeball it. But obviously the more sugar, the more sweet it's gonna be. And then vanilla. And I don't ever think you can use enough vanilla, so put in again as much as you want. You can use a stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer. If you really want to get a good arm workout, you can actually whisk this by hand. It just takes a little longer. But if you have an electric mixer, hand mixer, or this, you just turn it on and let it go until that cream gets to a thick stage. It's that simple. So now that the cake is ready, let's take it out of the oven. Oh, it's got a beautiful golden color. You're gonna wanna let this cool about 15 minutes before you take the springform off the pan and before you garnish it. But some ideas to garnish is to take some powdered sugar, take a strainer or a sifter, and just sprinkle it around the top. You can dollop it with that whipped cream that we made earlier. And I like to add some color, so you can definitely put some fresh berries and even some greenery. I went with basil, I don't know, because my name's Basil and because that's an Italian herb. And there you have it, my Italian ricotta cake. I really enjoyed sharing these lighter recipes with you today. Since we had a dessert, I'm thinking I might need a cup of coffee with that instead of wine. But then again, I do coffee in the morning, wine in the evening. Anyway, I love that you're here. I love that I get to share my love of Italian food with you. If you'd like those recipes and more, please go to jenniferbasil.com.